struggling against what's nice. Struggling against what's nice. Right? I mean, I just said, and then the recording broke off, that I find that this is what life is about. I mean, no, what? No, that's not what I said. I said, now it's kind of gone, but I said, struggling against what's nice. And then I said that I find that, right, you should figure it out. Figure out what you like in your life and then protect it. I mean, your parents raised you, they wiped your ass, they brought you at least until this point, right? Maybe now you're on your own. But I think spirituality is certainly about giving back. And during times like this, right, it's just peace, right? We need to practice inner peace. I mean, I'm absolutely aware that if I were to live during other times, you'd give me a sword and that would be nice, slashing through my enemies. Right? I'd do that, I'd do it, no problem. I'd be Achilles, I'd have no problem with this. But during times like this, right, it's about keeping the child in the room. Right? That's just what I feel. And maybe that's just my old karma running off. I'm sure I would have been something like Achilles. Tested myself on the battlefield, But I'd rather live peaceful. And now we have people who want to cling to making war. And I'll just say, hey, let's just, try to chill. So get off my back and do your own sadhana, right? Figure it out for yourself. I'm already doing what I think I can do, right? So I'm gonna carry you to the other side, show you a perspective, a way of life, right? But you have to do the swimming. This is just a momentary realization. Oh wow, there's people that actually live like this, who channel it all into creation, right? Who know how to work with shame and anger and fear in a productive, constructive way, right? Who'd rather destroy themselves than hurt someone else. I'm just saying, that's literally what I'm here to say. Figure it out for yourself, right? I'm swimming all the time, and sometimes I'm walking on water, right? And then I sink back into the suit. So, you got to do your swimming. My life is just an inspiration. Oh yeah, I forgot that one. Okay, do whatever you want. No, actually not. Do not do whatever you want. Do what serves your purpose. That's the mission. Yes. You know, if you don't check yourself the entire day, I mean, I myself feel fine. But it's just sometimes if you start recording that you ask yourself, what's fine? I'm actually working on another idea for a hat. And I also think I have to be a bit smart about this because I haven't crocheted in a while. And I know that you have to count. So, okay, struggling against what's nice. I'm just working off content for 2025. And so today I could have gone for this hike that I've been trying to do, and it looks incredibly promising. And I would have liked to do it, but times are flying and I cannot find the time. So at the moment, it's a bit of a stretch. Now I've been sleeping, I've been rendering videos. I'm now getting closer to October. And I'm somewhere along 269. And as the year has 365 days, right? I'm just creating until I'm at 365. And then I can start working on that book again. And then I can probably go on a hike. I'm trying to finish the entire YouTube year in 2000 and still this month. Today is the 18th of June. So I'm simply working. So I have once a week one of the major creations, which is usually simply a bit bigger, a bit more effort. But at some stage it gets easier because you start to get a feeling for your own vibe. Plus you realize that if I do this now, then let's say I'm looking forward to 2026, because now I can have at least several months where I will not have to do anything for YouTube in a while, and then I can continue. But I never have to do any of these things, right? So there's a really good question about struggling against what's nice. So let's say relationship-wise, let us simply assume that it is possible to find something like, you know, the woman or the man, right? We can all agree that if you have this one specific thing that you really like, right? You may really love this woman, you don't even know why, and you hope that she feels the same about you. Let's just assume that there is something like a soulmate, and once you're bonded, it's like the Jake Sully and Neytiri story, that you just cannot. That she'll spark you to be even more courageous, because then having a life with that woman would be, okay, to a certain degree, like the ultimate prize. But you also have to pay something for that. So let's go into folklore. Odin gave his eye for better eyesight. Okay, so he sacrificed one eye so he could see better on the other. Now they say it was like a bargain, but it's actually
more that, let's say you lose your right arm, well, you have to get better with your left one to make up for the arm that you lost. Now, if it comes to eyes, it's possible to assume that you have like, that the left eye sees more the spiritual and the right eye sees more the this. I'm starting to believe that there is no right and no left. You know, it's not that masculine is the right side and feminine is the left side, because if we would live in a society where, let's say, you know, where it wasn't mainly right-winged, you know, because everyone was trained to be right-handed, then we would all be left-handed. I mean, I can punch you in my left hand if I wanted to. So it's just that we're living in strange times. And so struggling against what's nice, well, what's nice? Is the high you get from sugar or coffee nice? Yes, is it? Well, what's the cost? What are you paying? What's the price? So struggling against what's nice, well, today, yes, it would have been incredibly nice to go for that hike that I have been dreaming about, envisioning. It's in a different direction. The one I have been doing, the 30 kilometers, is there. And now I have one which is more in this direction. I don't know, it's several hours at the very least. But today I felt like I simply have no time for this. So while I'm here, I have to be creative. So I'm just secluding myself again. I'm just alone in this dungeon. Well, I have food. I have things to push through because I simply need a lot of food. I need to eat a lot. And there is no guarantee that I will continue with YouTube in 2026. I'm just saying. I will keep this entirely open. I see YouTube as some kind of relationship that I maintain as long as I feel like I also get something out of it. I get something out of it means the creative process. But let's say I'd want to focus more on writing books. I'd sacrifice YouTube for that. I mean, I do like working on YouTube, but I would much rather do other things. Right? I would much rather just stand around sweeping, or help in a commune, or cook, or do all kinds of things. But I'm all the time stuck here trying to build something up. And that's why I simply continue to do YouTube, because right, the audience is kind of like, well, the only way I advertise my work is by working more. So instead of looking at statistics too much, I mean, I just check, you know, have they picked up on it yet? Okay, no. Well, I never pay for advertisement or boosting posts. So what do you do instead? Well, you just post more. So in the time where other people sit around and they just wait, you know, I just create more. I mean, the standard method, let's say for people like Chris Webby, is they have gotten relatively successful, and then instead of just, you know, instead of just to keep going, they wait and wait. So they're playing like catch or something. So they wait on purpose. and then they release it, and then everybody's like, oh, super nice, like, I don't get it. Because in the time where you waited, you could have just done other things. I mean, you could have just done more art. But then usually these people just do nothing else, right? So I simply keep on going. I have none of these, I just stop. I have one project, I work on that, so now 2025, YouTube is one project. Before that I had 2025, both my podcasts. Yeah, I had to push them through. I mean, that's 52 times an hour. Some of these episodes are 2 hours. That's a lot of talking, that's a lot of reflecting, that's a lot of energy that you channel into something creative. So I think what we can all relate to is that if you get something because you bought it, you'll never be able to appreciate it as much. And that's what I realized. The fact that I got my, let's say, bachelor degree is that I worked hard for it. And so I was able to acknowledge, I put in the work, I got the degree, I had the certificate. But to me, it was more about, as meaningless as I find, writing scientific documents about, let's say, vervet monkeys. To me, the time I had with the monkeys and the observation I was doing and learning how to do an analysis in my mind was much more important than the certificate I got in the end. But I wanted the certificate simply because I felt like I just owed it to myself. Just simply say, I have suffered through this. You want some kind of reward. At least you want to show, okay, I did it. But, and that's what really annoys me in this world, because we live in a world of salesmen and liars. And that's what I keep on saying. People who use words to act like, right? They have done things. So even if I have said I have studied, nobody believes this. You know what I'm saying, right? I am getting the vibe that I am somewhat dishonest. Well, I have studied, I have done all of these things. Every video takes time. Some are faster, some take longer. For some, I need to gather strength for about half an hour. For some, I need to gather strength for 2 weeks. I have videos such as making fire your way that have taken me weeks to prepare myself mentally to make the leap and dive back into nature. And so this year for me is a bit like a transition. I have done longer and longer hikes. I mean, 30 kilometers in one day is quite good. I have, mapped out more of nature, the natural world in my surroundings. So the map in my mind, where I can go, where I can be, like Tom Bombadil style, the area that I am connected to because I have hiked there and left my energy there has increased. But I am far from simply being able to, merge into nature and do this all the time. So I'm a lot here like this. Open mind, try to pick up on things, try to stay on top of things. Just try to stay here. Yesterday I went to see a Mad Max story, Furiosa. And I didn't want it. Because I still think my life should take a different route. So, yeah, in a sense, as an artist, you have to be a mirror of what's currently happening in the world. And if I'm constantly up here in that tower, then I forget. Then I indeed become like, because I'm a creator. So a creator is like a god in his own universe. And if you're really creative, then you don't want to, right? Because here, you know, I can do whatever I want to a certain degree, of course. But here I have complete creative freedom. I feel somewhat safe. Nobody can get into my space. I turned off my doorbell. I actually want to check if it's really... Last time, you know, sometimes you turn it off. But if, you know, there's still like less rest electricity left. I want to see, because last time I got rid of the rest electricity. And I just want to check if there, you know what I'm saying. I'm just gonna hit the button there. You heard that? No, you didn't. Because it's working. Super nice. I mean, I have shown you this little switch I installed. And I don't know where this idea came from. One of my neighbors said that they turn off their doorbell at certain times. And, you know, it's not that people actually come and ring my doorbell ever. But, you know, you never know. Just in case. Sometimes I just want to be not home. Sometimes, you know, I have my phone now I just muted it. So calls can come through and I can see them when they call. But it's muted. But most of the time nobody calls me. Most of the time I don't get calls. Sometimes I do, and then I can call back, right? And sometimes I have the feeling I just want to take away the option of being disturbed. Of course, if somebody really wanted to get at me, you know, they'd find a way. They'd just ring the doorbell of my neighbors. But then, you know, what would they do? You know, if then they start knocking at the door and I don't open, what are they gonna do? Like, kick it in? I mean, I'm not a psychotic mass murderer or something. So you also have to realize that some of the stuff you're afraid of, like your paranoia, is probably completely unwarranted for. Well, what's a warrant? It's like money. A warrant, isn't that also like getting permission? You say, hey, if you get me that guy, you're gonna get. No, that's wanted. That's a wanted poster. What's a warrant? Just wanna check it. Sometimes I have these words, I just wanna know how. Because I'm still, when I looked up the word animosity, the meaning that is hiding in the word is still changing the way I see. Okay, what I really want to read is Dune. I just have to make the time for it, but while I'm creative, I cannot do it because then my mind's like this. Okay, creating videos, ideas, you know, taking concepts, putting them together. You know, this is how creation works. I mean, you can do, this is the Rasengan. Only the way it's been shown in Naruto, you cannot see this. if you do something like this. This is not energy that's like gonna be bright blue. Well, it may be possible that you can see it, but you can feel it. But for that, you have to stop touching your junk. You have to stop masturbating for that. I'm just saying. And then you have to learn to channel it in certain ways. Well, yeah, I just still am in the position where it just gets too much. I just can't deal with it. So I just want to be here, because if there's too much energy, right, then I have to run around and give it to people, and I don't want to do that. So just make sure I stay inside, and if I stay inside, I don't know what else to do with the energy. So I just practice semen retention. I'm just saying, I have no shame, because it has helped me so many times to just work this stupid stuff off. And just because Gandhi never said that he, right, used himself for pleasure, doesn't mean that he never did it, right? He also never talked about a lot of things which he may have done but just kept to himself, because he was quite selfish. I'm just saying. Okay, I do get it. The reason he wanted to do this brahmacharya was because, struggling against what's nice. Yes, sex is nice, but if your woman comes to you and you cannot help it but have pleasure with each other, and every time there comes a child out of it, well, maybe you think 3 children is enough. And either you find a way to just not have children, because I don't know what's the cost on the woman. Like, does it rejuvenate a woman also to have children, or does it use her up? So maybe he just wanted to have her around. Maybe he realized, well, sure, she can give me lots of children, but 3 is enough. And that's something I just don't quite get. How many children can you have? Can you have sex just for pleasure, or is that completely out of the question? That's something I don't really get. Should you really just have children, have sex to have children? I always get drawn into these topics. I'd like to completely let that go, but it's really hard, because I'm just suffering on the inside all the time if I don't do anything. And sometimes I'm in here and I do things and I feel like, I don't know. I just feel pain all the time. And then I try to motivate myself to do other things. Well, then I'm just looking for pleasure. But I reject all women because, I just like being creative, and the only woman, and I'll keep saying that, as annoying as it might be, that I'll accept is the one that I have chosen. Nobody else. But there's women that would like to use me for their selfish pleasure, despite the fact that they could know that I have chosen already. I constantly feel it, like other women probing me, trying to pull me towards them. It's like, let's have some fun together. Yeah. No, thank you. Okay, what was the word? Warrant. I don't know. I just think that I can only talk to you about my current situation. And if I think about it now, how would it be if that woman then would finally find herself in my life? And then I'd be like, oh, look at this, I managed, I got her to be with me. She'd probably kick me in the balls for being too cocky about it. But there's no guarantee. So, my life I have had some really hard awakenings, and this may be one of them, that in 50 years I'll be sitting here still doing the same thing, and I'll be thinking, yeah, I thought she would come, and I'm still alone. What a drag. A warrant, a document issued by a legal or government official authorizing the police or another body to make an arrest, search premises, or carry out some other action relating to the administration of justice. Yeah, justice, their idea of justice. No, justice is you live, you die. You know what I'm saying? No, justice comes at the end. This is not justice. This is just human tampering. You know? Justice would be, you know, if everyone who's corrupt magistrates issued a warrant for his, okay. But now let's look at the original meaning, because this is like we're living in this law legislation kind of society. Origin, Middle English in the senses protector and safeguard. Also as a verb, keep safe from danger, from variants of Old French, guaranteer of Germanic origin, compare with guarantee. Yeah, okay. Also warrants also means to guarantee. War. Here I've got the word war and rant. You know, you're at war, you're making a rant. It's his fault! Take him! Okay, so you have to see this. Let's see, you see it on a spiritual level. You think there's angels and there's devils. I mean, I've met people that clearly had some kind of like angel energy. There are things like archangels. I'm clearly some kind of like a fallen angel. Like I carry something like a very bright light inside of me. And there's like a lot of wrath, like maybe Archangel Michael or something. You know, that kind of energy. And that's something in yourself. That's something, you know, you're like a tool in a certain sense. Something's working through you. But I'm not sure what I am in this. Because sometimes I feel like a sloth. Sometimes I disgust myself. You know, sometimes I just spend a day, and I have to be honest about this, I do still watch or use or consume pornographic material. But what I have to say is that I always see this one woman in all of this. No matter what I look at, who I look at, you know, I always see her in all of this. But I'm always alone. And then I'm asking myself, is the reason I'm alone because I'm still using myself? But, I mean, am I really using myself? Because back in the days, I'm just frustrated. I'm just so frustrated. And energy just isn't flowing when you stand and work on a computer. It's just like that. So, to me, it's just very frustrating to do this kind of like seemingly useless work because there's nothing happening. But at the same time, I'm really glad that I don't have to stand somewhere and have discussions with people, because there are no discussions in my world. Because I appear to be the only one who's able to understand things from a bit like more galactic perspective. I mean, being in the observer, higher mind, higher wisdom, ancestral knowledge, which clearly seems to be strong in me. Channeling male energy, but also making the choice to take responsibility for it. Not everyone grows their beard. I'm actively choosing to do so. And that means taking responsibility for these things. But sometimes I know it's just too much, and then I do what I can to also find some relief, because I think I give enough. And I simply decided to stop going to the park because, yes, going to the park playing frisbee seems nice, but it isn't. Do you know why it's not nice? Because I go there, I have lots of energy that I channel, and then people come and they just sit in that energy, and then they go away, and then they do really bad things with it. And that's true. That is again what Nas has been singing about. So I'm learning to just keep it all here, to just channel it into creation, and then to go hiking occasionally. You know, check out nature, stay away from parks. Stay away from parks. Parks are places for lost souls. You know, real beings go into nature. They don't go into parks. Parks are places for lost souls. No real creator spends a lot of time in parks. I'm just saying. That's what I have discovered. I have tested this for many years. Parks are places for lost souls. And these days, and so is the internet, by the way. You know, when I'm lost, I try to look for myself, you know, on the internet. I'll try to, you know, I have just been checking out Beetlejuice. I actually like to watch the movie. I would, and I may, and I shall, and possibly will, in case there is something. I don't know, man. I'm not the best guy to maintain plants and stuff. I have no interest so much. You know, this cannabis thing, it just died. I don't know why. I'm actually happy about it because I don't like it. I don't like the idea. You know, I rather stick with the coffee. Especially now, everyone is gonna hype it. I'm just gonna be against it. That's who I've always been. You know, I do it as long as it's kind of forbidden. Okay, why do I drink red wine then? I don't know. I just don't think that cannabis is the solution to your problems. Plus, I can already tell that most people won't know what to do with it anyway. Just like with everything else. Most people don't know what to do with alcohol, like the right way of dealing with it. Anything you do should be to be creative. It shouldn't be about drinking alcohol and then sitting there and watching movies. No, it should be, okay, I have trouble to get this, you know, I have to somehow relax or something. And then you drink a bit of red wine, and then you can relax. Okay. But every day? Why do you have to drink beer every day? You just start getting like this. It's ridiculous if you don't realize it. So I am probably going to simply do the following thing. This is some chai I prepared. I am probably going to turn myself in. No. I am going to watch Beetlejuice, the first one. And then I'm going to... Okay, first of all, I try to store no movies anymore. So I threw away all the DVDs and Blu-rays I had. And old computer games and stuff. Why did I do that? Well, it's quite simple. It just started to annoy me to a very large degree. And I wanted to get back to my original, the idea of my original self. Just trying to be creative as much as I can. But while I'm being creative now with this, I'm just trying to be less creative in other ways. Wait, what? Okay, so I'm having this music album that I actually would like to do. And sure, it's nice. It's nice to make music, but you also have to realize that recreating yourself through art feels like dying. And that means it's like giving birth. It is like literally going pregnant with whatever you have in yourself and then channeling it into something else. So yes, it's super nice, right? Like you sleep with a woman, the orgasm, but unless the woman, you know, let's say the woman took no pills to block pregnancy or something, and she has, you know, you have sex together and the orgasm is nice, but what follows the nice is feelings of separation and then probably the birth. So, you know, being pregnant can be super nice, but you know that, you know, you're gonna give birth. So living can be super nice, but you know that you're going to die. And so being creative is super nice, but it's also a bit like death. Because the me that struggled against doing it, in a sense, needs to die in order to give birth to the guy that did it. Yeah. I mean, this is from actively observing what's happening during the creative process. So sometimes I had the feeling I was going to die, and then I did what I felt like doing, and then the me that felt like it was going to die kind of died. But what died? You know, whatever you identified with. Because I've never been here at this point of my life. I have never been here at this point of my life, right? Every creation is another step in the way. Every creation is another step in the way. Every step forward means, you know, this is like the dog, a bit like the dog in the movie Alice in Wonderland, that has, you know, a brush in the front and a brush at the tail, and he walks like, right? So the path is gone in a sense. You're always living in the now. And this is how I've often felt. I mean, I have made experiences that seemed promising and super nice, but then while you're in it, I have had moments where I completely lost track of who I was, where I am, and how to get back. So I could never go back. I could just move forward. And that's the really strange part. I can never go back to anything. all I can do is move forward. And there's an image that I drew of me charging ahead, looking into the distance, and then holding hands with the woman. And she's like standing there looking back, and I'm like, come on, let's get going. But if you move too fast, it's just gonna be over. So in a sense, yeah, you also have to take your time and kind of stay around. And well, what coffee clearly does is it kind of speeds up time. And there are so many things that I still want to do, but every day it's, you know, everything I do brings me closer to the moment I will die. So what you have to realize is that you simply have to take the time with the things that you like. Which is why I do this now, all the YouTube stuff, so I can have enough time with the woman that I love, if that should be ever actual reality for me. Because until then, I will always feel drawn to the laptop, but what I need then is to spend time and to focus on her and on our time with each other. And maybe she's impatiently waiting until I finally reach the point where I'm ready. And the question is, when will I ever be ready? I don't know, man. I feel like I'm constantly being watched. So what's even nice? Because if you've lived long enough and enough things have fallen away, like you had friends, you had people you loved, you had maybe grandparents, you had whatever, pets, they all died. They died and they left and they betrayed you and they gossiped about you. You've done your things, they've done their things, and in the end you feel like you stand like this and there's like 1,000,000 daggers in your back. Because every time you turn your back, they just do this. Right? This is my life in a nutshell. Every time I go to people, I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And then you turn around, and as soon as you show them your back, like, hatred. Hatred. For whatever it is, right? It's like this righteous anger, you know? Yeah, I'm super angry and it makes me powerful. Yeah, and it also eats you up. Yeah? Hello, cancer. So, if you've got cancer, then you just fail to realize what was eating you up. Because if you'd pay attention to yourself, you'd know something is wrong, and then you would never ever have to go to the doctor and then, you know, be diagnosed with something that in my world never exists. You'll just start working with yourself, and you start holding your planks, and you'll start hiking barefoot. You know, you'll start looking for things, but at that point it may already be too late. So I'm not making content for the crowd or the masses, because the masses are scared shitless by people like me. Because I'm flashing them their own nonsense. I'm making content to simply use the words Terence McKenna used, self-selected individuals. You have chosen to sit with this video and to tap into the energy of somebody who's highly creative but also honest. So You know, if I struggle, I have certain methods. And one of the reasons why, sure, you know, a female presence, this specific female presence in my life would be welcome. Because it's also transformation. And it's of course much nicer to transform together with a woman, because it's much easier to uphold the energy in a household. Like, there'd be way more plants in here. I don't manage. I literally do not manage to uphold the energy in this apartment to grow a lot of plants. I mean, that would probably be what a woman would have to do. But yeah, as nice as this sounds, it takes a lot of preparation, and then struggling against what's nice. I mean, what's nice? On the other side of nice is vicious, yeah? Because on the other side of light is always the shadow, which is why, sure, you know, family is super nice, but it also comes with a cost. So sometimes I struggle against what's nice, because what's nice is a dagger in the back, you know? What's nice is, you know, speeding at 200 kilometers and then waking up in a hospital because you crashed. You know, what's nice is flying in an airplane and then being in Spain and then realizing that it severed your roots, that somehow your spiritual connection was highly impacted by the fact that you traveled. So let's say you're a spirit, you can ground yourself, right? You can root into the ground where you are. And then you go to the airport and fly somewhere, whoop! Connection lost. I'm just saying. So I cannot do this, I feel. As nice as it sounds to go somewhere to the Amazonian rainforest, yeah? And walk through it and feel like, ooh! I mean, if I'm a shaman, what am I supposed to do there? You know, they should be doing that. They should be training shamans. Why should I go there and help them? You know? If they don't manage, then they're doomed. Because people here also don't manage. And I have a lot of creative potential. I can do many things. But if I keep running around the world trying to help everyone, then I'm neglecting the people right here. So what's nice? Yeah, traveling, super nice. Yeah, I did that. And then settling somewhere and saying I'll stay here comes with the cost of sacrificing, you know, traveling all the time. You know, I'm unable to see if I will travel ever again or if I'll just keep hiking. You know, I may find myself in Amsterdam at some point. I may find myself somewhere else. And then just see, because maybe it's less bad than I think it is. Right? Maybe it's less bad than I think it is. But I am really trying to reject, and that's a really hard thing on my part, because there's probably a woman here, right, that I could connect with. I just reject it. For whatever reason I have, I just keep rejecting it, and it annoys me, because it just seems like sometimes I feel like I have no choice. But I want to have a choice. And so I always simply choose this other woman, whether or not I'm ever going to see her again. Right? So, struggling against what's nice comes from the realization that everything that is nice comes with a cost. I have to work hard in order to get to the point where I can stand here and speak like this, right? I really just went through 6, 7, 8 hours where I just slept, went back to the laptop, created rendered videos. I mean, this is really hard work. It's possible that I'm getting better at it, but it's very draining, it's very demanding, it's very hard on yourself. It's very tough, simply spiritually. It's also liberating, it's very revealing, it's awesome to create videos that you had no idea they would turn out like this. I mean, you just go into the field and you record, let's say, like a pond, right? You record like, or let's say like grass. And then you come back home and you take the video and you have no idea what's going to happen. Because, yeah, you have certain methods, but everything's also a bit random. You take the video and you take it, okay, I have a certain style. Like, I'm looking for myself in each creation. I'm always looking for myself, which is why my content has a specific vibe, right? It's like light and shadow, right? I like to highlight the shadows in my creation. The darkness, it shouldn't be too like, you know? So, also the grainy stuff, because if I look at life like this, like right now I see the noise, whatever that is. And so what I do is I sit down, I have the file, and then I just start doing random things. But usually I take the video track and then one more on top of each other. So I have, okay, if you are in Kane Live, then you have, you know, video tracks, and then I have video track 1, video track 2 above it. And then you apply certain effects or filters, I think it's called effects, onto these things. And then you take like a mod or something, how to blend them into each other, and then suddenly it looks a certain way. And you're like, And sometimes you say, hey, should it be kaleidoscopic? Or should it be different? Sometimes it's kaleidoscopic, sometimes I work with distort, sometimes I work with waves, sometimes I work with the mirror effect, sometimes you flip it, right? Sometimes you change the speed, you stretch it, sometimes you make it faster. Sometimes you use vertigo, which gives like a sort of like this effect, like a flow kind of effect. And then you just layer things on top of each other and bam, right? Random. It's completely random sometimes, you know? When I'm working with GIMP, sometimes I have 5, 6, 7, 8 layers on top of each other. You don't know what's going to come out of it, and suddenly you go through these modi, right? And then suddenly it's like, bam, like, wow, I didn't expect that. So you're always trying to get to new things, but you know it's nice, but you also know that it takes time and energy. Time is energy, of course, which is why, time is not seconds and minutes. Time is just this. Right? So yeah, I don't like it that I always get so tired. I would just like to be erect and super like. You know, there's so many couples that would like to have sex still, and they go to the doctor, I have erectile problems. Yeah, and then they get Viagra, and then you think, well, if energy isn't flowing, then maybe you should go barefoot hiking, then maybe you should change your diet, try working with nutmeg or cardamom, and just start doing things together again. Because, you know, if energy isn't flowing between the two of you, maybe your time's up, right? Too bad, time to move on. Or you just have to bond more. Instead of just sitting around thinking of having sex, you know, you could just go hiking with each other. You know, I don't like the idea of having a woman in charge of my sexual thing. You know, that she gets to decide when I have sex. But maybe that's the way it is, right? Because she's the one who needs to take me into herself. It's different for a woman. So if she needs to, she can say, okay, but I just cannot say any longer. You know, if you have what she wants, then she'll come by herself. But if you spend it on something else, well, then it's gone. So it's a tough thing to channel it into the right thing. Because what's the right thing? I don't know, man. Today I made the choices I made, and I stood here and I recorded this, and you know, I'm one step further of reaching my goal. But I feel screwed, I feel tired, I just want to lay in bed and sleep. Because this is really exhausting. Because I'm channeling into the computer at the moment. This is draining my energy. This is taking a part of me and turning it into a video, and that's tiring. Because my mind has to do this, it's really tiring. It's super nice, right? But it's also super hard. So yeah, to me, then, what we call masturbation, right, or porn, is just a bit of pleasure in a life that's where I'm just alone all the time. And everything just happens in my mind. I go to the cinema, I feel like there is somebody, but I sit there, I'm alone. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone. People don't even go to the cinema anymore because they watch it all at home. And then I feel like I don't even know if I can do it. I'm glad I did. But in a sense, I was also a bit annoyed. Because it feels like a waste. But what's a waste? I mean, I'm living during times where cinemas still exist. So maybe I should just make the most out of it, say, hey, you know, sometimes I will go to the cinema. Right? Sometimes I would just go to the cinema. You know, I'm not the guy who's solely responsible for nowadays ways of life, right? So if I once in a while, so like now I would like to watch Beetlejuice to prepare myself for Beetlejuice, which is going to come out sometime in maybe September or something, I'm not sure. I'm going to go watch that. And I just wanted to know what it was about. and then you watch it once. And that should be enough. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just gonna end this. I don't know, I just feel like maybe tomorrow I'll manage to hike. Probably not. I don't know. Maybe I'm just gonna do more planks. Maybe I'm gonna watch Beetlejuice now. I mean, who's to say? I'm just in some kind of creative frenzy. And that's all I can see at the moment. Which is basically always the case. Right? You look at your life, you see, where's my wife? Where is she again? You know? I'm just alone. There's nobody there. Nobody's calling me on my phone. This woman that I felt like is my wife is just gone. She could have died. Maybe she's just silent. Maybe she punishes me. Maybe she's just annoyed of herself. Who am I to say these things? I feel like I've got a wife, but I never see her. So I'm preparing myself. Sometimes I feel like I keep her away because I feel like if she'd want to be here, she'd be here, right? I cannot force you to be here. If you don't like me, then that's your problem. There are things that I have been doing, right? I can only do what I'm doing, but I've got my own weaknesses. So I seem to have a certain weakness for the flesh, pleasures of the flesh, which is eating, which is certainly sex. So yeah, I like the manga called Sundome, Sundome, which is certainly about a woman kind of like denying the guy sexual pleasures. Could also be that I'm the woman or the guy denying a woman certain pleasures. Because in a sense that's also what marriage is about. Well, how much pleasure can you stand? Because pleasure is also a form of torture. I mean, there can be so much pleasure that it's torture. You know, I mean, Tantra is about bursting through boundaries together. I mean, you can like, again, you know, and again, and again, without ejaculating. That's the trick. And then you just have to do it again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And because you mirror each other very well, it's also the trying to overcome each other. It's a very playful kind of fighting. I don't know. I'm just working with these ideas in my mind. Whatever, you just have to figure it out for yourself.